Welcome back to our second server tour of the Gulf season. Now the players have had time to build some really exciting aircraft, so I'm going to see how these bases have expanded. Now we're over at MBZ's base, and you can see that they've gone with this very green camouflage blend into the grass type base, and inside their hangars they've got a variety of very sharp and pointy looking fighters. That one's even got two Hellfires and machine guns. Oh no, sorry, the Hellfires and the racks right in the tip. I've never seen a missile mounted at the front of an aircraft like that. Very interesting. Over on this side, we've got another one of these aircraft. You've got the little cockpit cabin. This one's got some AIM-9s by the look of it under the wings, and it's got a big, chunky autocannon there as well. Let's have a look what's going on in the other parts of the airbase. So up here, we have a large anti-aircraft turret. Now, this one has some serious Gatling. This is a real array of weaponry, actually. This is some heavy firepower. And there's even a 50 caliber in there for good measure. So coming down here into the MBZ, I'm guessing this is like their main sort of base area. We've got this little bit of information explaining while someone's going on holiday. And then we've got one more aircraft over here as well. So that's the MBZ base. They've got a little backup runway taking shape there, but we'll see if they finish that by the end of the week. What's in here though? Let's have a quick peek inside. Oh, like a cargo container and storage room. And there's also a secret hangar under there. And this leads to their little Jeep that we saw last time. Inside here, there's these micro tanks, all in this very green colour. Maybe a bit of contrast might be useful in here, MBZ, so we can see a bit of difference between the designs. But let's continue on. Our next stop is the 404 base. The 404 base has some wreckage off to the side here. I'm hoping that's not landing attempts that haven't gone too well. It looks like a wreck of some sort of fighter and a micro chopper there of some kind. They're hard at work here building parts of their facility, installing the windows first. Interesting idea, 404 there. And then you've got the carrier in this little location here. So this is actually a wheeled carrier, and it's also got hover components. So combining both wheels so you can actually come and land safely with the hover engines will allow it to be a really durable heli carrier. Two runways on either side. We've got a little pit stop on the side there as well. It'd be interesting to see how this is going to work. Are they going to lock them down to the deck? How are they going to bring fighters and whatnot up here to come and land? Is there a lower section? There doesn't seem to be. It's going to be interesting what 404 do when they bring this to an event, but let's continue on. Now, our next stop is BLK, and BLK's base is really quite beautiful. They've gone with these dark greyish tones, this really nice black detailed runway. They've got an 06 mark in there, an 07, they've got an approach direction. So this is a really cool runway. I don't know if they would cause a little bit of a bump because they are a raised blocker panel, but look at this aircraft that they've got docked in here. This is probably the cream of their fleet, you could say. This is the best Osprey. Oh, this is really nice. Them thrusters, them rotating engines, and of course they've equipped it like an AC-130 with cannons in the side there as well. It's got hard mounting points to the wingtips with flare dispensers. This is a real nice looking aircraft, and if we come around this other side, it doesn't disappoint because they've got access inside. They've got some warning of high explosives, weapons racks, and as you walk through, they've got control seats for the weapons stations, and then the cockpit itself. Just look at that cockpit, it gives you a great view, detailed paneling, everything labelled up and set up correctly. Really nice job, Black Tusk here. So over on this area, we've got like a little aircraft control tower, but if we enter into the main hangar, we've got these two blocks on either side. And then we have the main hangar here, and inside the main hangar is where they store their ground vehicles. Of course, they've got a grinder pit there as well. They've got the processing over on that side. They've got a tank that is equipped with, of course, large caliber weapons, AIM-9 sidewinders on the side, and ATGMs on the top. What I really like about this place is just the detail into the structure. You've got the air vents rotating around the top. You've got the catwalks that lead you across there as well. And as we continue into this area, we also have the little hover tanks that players have been building. Now, these hover tanks have some large caliber weaponry right above the cockpit, so if you have any epilepsy warnings, you better be ready for that. And then over on this side, you've got some 50 cals there as well. Now, coming out through the side of this hangar, we actually run into BLK's carrier sort of craft. It's not a super large carrier. You can see it's carrying one of their Apaches on the top here. So let's have a closer look. You can see they've got like a little remote weapon system. That's just a searchlight there at the front. Hellfires underneath. 50 caliber machine guns on either side, and a twin rotor design on the top there. They've also got a little rear rotor, and it's just a really well detailed Apache. They've got some other slots here, but they wouldn't be able to fit more than maybe 2 Apaches on this top deck. So let's plunge ourselves inside. Now, if we drop into this little hangar bay, we've got a mini hangar bay here, and we've got a control room. I'm not too sure if this is the control room for the whole of the carrier, but you've got all these various little areas where they can dock different things up. But once again, this whole ship has been thought out really well, detailed, color-coded, and lit as well. It's something that you do take for granted. Lighting is really important in separating your build from the rest. So let's move on. Now our next stop is BVR. Now the BVR base hasn't changed too much in terms of their main facility. They've of course got their vehicles like we had a look at last time. They've got the various towers. I'm not too sure if there's been some adjustments to some of these buildings in the layout. This area got bombed in one of the missions. All the aircraft hiding in it got blown to smithereens. Coming into this little hangar, it looks like we've got similar aircraft to what we saw before, but the new addition is this giant carrier here that looks like it's been loaded up in preparation for the event. Let's just zoom out and have a look at that carrier in a bit better detail. So we've got a runway towards the front here, and it's kind of off-centered sort of bridge cabin area to the side there. So they've got some fighters on the deck, they've got helicopters, they've brought an AA tank, some sort of hover helicopter there as well. And over this side, they've brought themselves one of the ground attack aircraft equipped with their deadly missiles. Look at them. Another one of the fighters that they've got there, and down the side they've got themselves a helicopter as well. And they've got another MI helicopter loaded onto the back. So this looks like it's ready, a rock and sort of roll, ready for an event. Let's have a look inside though, because I believe there is an access ramp through this door. So this is a ramp that either goes up or down, or maybe it's just an illusion. So this lowers you down to this lower deck. Now entering hell. So this is where they've put all the thrusters, isn't it? Yeah. And then they've got this little mini hangar bay inside, and they've got cargo and storage. And it's really important to have something like this on your carrier because they've got a front loading lift as well, so they could load up an additional vehicle in there if they wanted to. Very nice carrier design, but let's continue on. Now our next stop is DBS, and DBS were working on this large square sort of mobile base. Now since then they have actually decided to build themselves some armor on the sides. You can see they've got armor on the sides protecting the wheels now, and they've got themselves a bridge and various protected hangar bays. Is this a bridge? What is this? Oh, it's like a really fancy way of sitting and watching everything. All right. DBS definitely won't be sitting in there. Now, along the side, they've got themselves some hangars with these micro fighters that we've seen DBS show up in. And over on this side, we've got another one of the micro fighters. This one equipped with a rainbow effect lighting there for some added drama. What else has DBS got going on in here? I know I always see them show up to events with lots of little fighters, but it doesn't look like they've got many at the moment. Maybe they're just planning on printing them as the sort of event or battle unfolds. What's going on the inside of this thing? That's going to be the interesting thing. Oh, it's a hell of thrusters. Oh, and there's a printing and production down here. So maybe that's where it's coming from. Behind these panels are their printers and welders. So yeah, so they print down here and then they can launch on the carrier up above. So this thing is just a basic, or not basic, but massive manufacturing facility for their aircraft. Now our next stop is MOP Space. Now MOP are hard at work, as you can see, building away, getting themselves the hangar finished off. They've actually got some aircraft about. Well, they had some aircraft about when I looked before, but it seems like they've either stored it away. Yeah, it looks like they stored it away. One of the MOP aircraft's now been stored away in this hangar. It's sort of a big wing type design. Let's have a look what's down at their elevator. So this is that rotating elevator that lowers up and down into this lower section. Have we got more fighters in here this time? It looks like we do. We also have a cheeky AA truck, a little AA wagon, and then we've got three sorts of, they look like a bit like them Star Wars type skimmer craft, but they could be quite deadly, especially if they've got them weapons in their noses there, and they've got the camera there at the front as well. So a nice little hangar bay here. Not too much has changed on the base by the look of it. They've got that added hangar that they've added onto it. They've got the control tower still. What have we got docked here? A little utility grid. So let's continue on. Now the next base we've arrived at belongs to Nod, and if you remember, Nod last time had the Hogwarts style castle, and they thought it'd be a challenge this time between them and the members to rebuild a completely different style of base. So this is what they've come up with. You can see they've got the Tunguskas mounted on these different locations. They had these in fixed positions. They've got Thunderbird 2, as Thunderbird 2 yet to get a bay. No, it does not have a bay just yet. But they've built a really cool facility here, complete with some sort of fuel storage tanks. I guess each one of these has been lifted into these positions here as well. Coming over onto this side of Nod, they've got like a fist looking shape. It looks like a fist. Is this some sort of crushing device? What is this? Maybe a printing device? Maybe it's a printer. And there's also a rocket or a giant missile in sort of arc colours. That is very, very worrying indeed. Over here, they've got some more of their anti-aircraft vehicles spread out to various different parts. I really like the look of these buildings. Let's have a peek inside and see what they've got. So they have started to stack up their aircraft. They've got these micro sort of fighters that are quite agile coming through into this hangar. They've got the larger bomber sort of design. They've got some more micro fighters over on this side and a sort of medium-sized bomber there as well. Over here, it looks like they've got themselves a utility grid that's been used for some printing. A really cool facility that they've got together here. Is there any buildings that I have missed in this place? It doesn't look like it. Let's have a look in the control tower up here. Has this been detailed as well? No, not quite. So it is a shell that's acting as a hangar once again. Is that an AA turret up on the roof? Yes, look at that one. That is very tasty. Looks like one of them CIWS type turrets as well there. What's over on here? This is another one of the Tunguska tanks. They've got a satellite dish there. So it looks like we've covered everything at the Nods base. And it's incredible to actually see a player or a faction rebuild a completely different sort of style of base, because there's plenty of time in the month that the season runs that you could do this. But this is an example showing that you can do it, and you can do it quite easily if you're organised and prepared enough and you've got the spare time, of course. Anyway, let's move on. Now our next stop is RSB, and Cajun has been working really hard to get this base prepped for this server tour. So there's a lot of new additions that we'll have a look at. So first off, we've got this little outbuilding that's placed on the lake here, and this is of course storage for one of the drilling nodes. There is this giant anti-aircraft weapon. I'm sure we've seen this in Cajun's designs and sort of builds before, but you can see it's now complete and ready to defend the sky with its cool camouflage pattern. Now coming to the facility itself, first off we have a anti-aircraft vehicle, and there's 4 of them that are mounted around here. I believe it's 4, maybe 3, and we've got a train. A train, guys, look at that. So it's a little armoured train that's painted up in a camouflage pattern. It's got a little carriage there as well. And the track, of course, is all a straight line right to the end. But it won't be an Cajun build without a bit of track. It looks like they're trying to do some track layout in here. So there is some other sort of industrial buildings. Oh, let's have a look at what this is. This is like a little mini industrial crane that's on a magnet, that is on a piston. So is that like a loading crane perhaps for the trains if they do come into it? Let's have a look into these factory buildings. So an empty factory building there, another empty factory building there. So these are all just shells for the minute. I'm guessing, oh, there is some cargo and storage going on in these areas. We've got the sardines factory over here. Oh, Cajun always just put some really nice effort into his buildings. It all has that sort of 1920s, 1930s vibe to it, I guess you could say. So this one's got like a little bit of roof. These are sort of more accommodation sort of blocks. This is like an embassy of some kind, perhaps. Let's have a quick look inside. So it's all labelled out. Guards barracks with some offices there as well. We've got a little staff car here. Looks like a sort of German staff car that's been driving around. So this is maybe an officer's HQ building on the side, complete with a helicopter pad as well. Over on this side, looks like some sort of storage yard of a type, some sort of other industrial yard. As we come up here, we've got the radar station. We've got this chunky little helicopter that we've seen Cajun fly around, and it's quite well defended. And it also has like it reminds me of a little bit of a duck face at the front there, but you've got the missiles under the wing, complete with them Gatling guns. It is really quite lethal. Now, onto the airbase itself, you've got a Cajun special in terms of this. It looks almost like an early jet aircraft, an early British jet. You can see the thrusters on either wings there, and there's weapons that are tucked under either wing as well. Radar and targeting pod, additional hangars, and then we've got some more of these classic Cajun AA vehicles that are quite effective when he decides to put ammunition in them. There's now this building up here on the cliff that overlooks. This is another one of them mining nodes. You can see the mining node inside there, but it just adds maybe a little bit of a viewpoint up here to overlook this industrial compound that Cajun's been building. Really nice work here, great work as usual. And remember, Cajun is a solo player, so he's built all this himself. Now our final stop of the tour is BTL, or Shuck's Base. So if we have a quick look around Shuck's Base, I was hoping to see maybe a few more additions to this facility, but you can see they've got this extra armoured protected area. They've got the vehicles with the remote turrets that have still been docked. They've got a little welding ramp there so they can weld up grids from underneath. They've got Shuck's classic tanks that we've seen him run around in some of the events here. You can see the vehicles there. They're all really focused on ground vehicles here. I'm not seeing any lifting aircraft in Shuck's Base. Maybe that's something they're going to have to get back to and fix up. But they do have a working solar tracker that tracks the sun. So that is the complete and second server tour of the Gulf season. I'm sorry if your base wasn't included in this tour. I just tried to cover the bases that had as much as possible going on, or bases that looks really unique. So let's wrap that one up there. If you enjoyed this video, you enjoyed the way I presented it, or you want to become part of the community, hit that like button, check out the links in the description of this video, and I will see you next time.